Well. Look at what we have here. If it ain't the old coaches poll done been released. The AP poll will be coming out shortly as well. And already there's some people up in arms and aren't very happy about it, especially those fans that frequent this channel, that being the two Crimson Nations, Alabama and Oklahoma, as you can see on that cutting board over there. They're not very happy. And that's why I've always been a proponent of releasing the polls, both AP and the coaches poll, in early October. Let's talk about it.
Born and bred in Tuscaloosa, not raised in Baton Rouge. Didn't ride no wagon train to Norman or to Boone. They said I'd never make it, just a name they overlook. Now I'm burning up their game plans and ripping up their books. No 5-star shine, no silver spoon. I came up grinding on the Friday night moons. Now they feel me coming like a 4th down blitz. Got them talking sideways, throwing fits. But I must admit, I can't quit. 'Cause I'm the outlaw of college football. Ain't no stripes can hold me back.
Once again, the outlaw posse is now in effect in the college football season. We can feel it. It's getting really close now as the college football polls are being released. The coaches poll came out. As you can see here, I've already got it pulled up for you guys and gals. But let's go ahead and get those 4 horsemen shout outs out of the way. They go to Marshall Jenkins, Storm 4601, That Christian Fam Channel, and Killer Breeze are mounted up, saddled up, and ready to go, and they're going to help us with today's college football invasion. Now, getting right to it here, as you can see, this is the 2025 college football poll for the coaches. Number 1 is Texas with 28 first-place votes. Number 2 is Ohio State with 20 first-place votes, followed by Penn State with 14 first-place votes. Georgia has 3 first-place votes. Notre Dame is number 5 with no first-place votes. And Clemson has 2 first-place votes at number 6. And going on down the list here, let's just run through it right quick. We have Oregon at number 7, Alabama number 8, LSU number 9, Miami of Florida number 10, number 11, Arizona State, number 12, Illinois, number 13, South Carolina, number 14, Michigan, number 15, Ole Miss, number 16, SMU, number 17, Florida, number 18, Tennessee, number 19, Indiana, number 20, Kansas State, number 21, Iowa State, number 22, Texas A&M, number 23, BYU, and 24 is Texas Tech, and 25 is Boise State. And as you can see in others receiving votes, Oklahoma was the top vote getter, followed by Missouri, Louisville, USC, Utah, and Baylor, rounding out the top 30 here. So that is the coaches poll. And the first thing that sticks out to me is, just like I mentioned in the lead up, is these polls always place the teams that were good last year about in the same order. They'll mix it up just a little bit just to try to throw you off and make you think they're not just plagiarizing last year's rankings, but they're basically plagiarizing last year's rankings outside of maybe Alabama being in the top 10. Alabama finished outside the top 10, I do believe, as well as LSU. As you can see, they got Arizona State up there. Last year, they didn't even have Arizona State ranked, and Arizona State made the playoffs. But because Arizona State made the playoffs, they automatically put them in the top 12. Illinois also had a standout year last year for them at 10-3, but they were not ranked to begin the season. SMU, same thing. Moving on down to SMU in Indiana. We all know Indiana was 11-2, but they basically played a MAC-type non-conference schedule while playing the Big Ten Conference. And then they're going to come out and say something about the SEC and how we schedule teams, and they dropped Virginia. Now, we do, sure enough, have some teams within the SEC that probably could have done better at scheduling non-conference opponents. But the SEC is not a lightweight when it comes to scheduling non-conference opponents. That's a bunch of horse manure for the most part. Yes, you might have instances where Georgia, for example, has a pretty easy non-conference schedule. But teams like Alabama and LSU, for example, Alabama plays Florida State on the road in Tallahassee, and we play Wisconsin. We schedule both of these teams, and we usually schedule teams usually 5 to 7 years out. When we scheduled these teams, they were really good. We can't control how well they are 5 years down the road. But to be going on the road to Tallahassee, if you told us this 3 or 4 years ago, which they did, when you initially see that matchup, you think, man, that's a great matchup. Yes, Alabama has a powder puff or two on their schedule, just like everybody else. But they do have two big-time Power 4 conference teams on their schedule, which really means everybody bitches about the 8-game conference schedule. It really means that Alabama is playing 10 conference-like games. It's just 2 of them happen not to be in the conference, but they are in the Power 4. But that's another rant for another day, even though I ranted already. But moving on down this list, Texas Tech was 8-5 last year. I think they're getting a lot of push because of a lot of the acquisitions they've made in the offseason, as well as the fact that their NIL collective and their boosters seem to be up in their game. People are sort of taking heed of that, and I think that's why Texas Tech is ranked. But the one that's left out is Oklahoma, and a lot of people are upset about that. A lot of Oklahoma fans are upset about that. But as this guy that I'm fixing to bring up a clip from this video, Ona Kano, alludes to, this could be a gift to Oklahoma and to teams like Alabama if they think they've been slighted. Alabama, I don't think, was slighted. They finished 9-4 last year. So to get ranked number 8 is actually probably a pretty good spot for them. Oklahoma went 6-7 last year. They've went 6-7 2 out of the last 3 years. So as to be expected, people are not really sold on Oklahoma at this point, although Oklahoma made some great acquisitions in the offseason that probably should have merited them being in the top 25, in my opinion. But they're not. Now, I'm going to bring up this clip from this guy called Ona Kano, and I might pick it apart a little bit, and I might agree with some of the stuff that he's saying. Let's check it out. I caught him with a pretty messed up facial expression, did I not? Looks like he's in the midst of trying to break one off and maybe start over on the toilet. Looks like he's a little constipated right here, but I ain't gonna make fun of him too much. I'm sure I've made some pretty messed up facial expressions myself, but let's check this out real quick.
They'll usually give a date when they'll drop it, and there'll be like a little countdown on the website for USA Today. But it's kind of dropped today. It's like, oh, here it is. Here's the coaches poll. And for Oklahoma, they are number 1 in the USA Today coaches poll, top 25 in others receiving votes. So they're number 1 in something. I guess that technically makes them number 26. And some people.
It doesn't technically make them 26. They are 26th. You can't be technically something if you are something. There's no technicality to it. Anyway, I digress.
Are freaking out. Oh my God. The first time in 25 years around the preseason poll. It's the John Blake era over again. So many of you are so quick to jump to John Blake. You are so like the talent on this roster right now is nowhere near as awful as it was under John Blake. John Blake had some talented players, mind you, because Bob Stoops couldn't have won a national title with because he had some guys he worked with, but he went out and got the other guys he needed through recruiting and through JUCO and whatnot. Josh Heupel being one of them. So Torrance Marshall being another one as well. He was a JUCO guy, but just I need some of you to calm down a little.
So that's what he had to say on the matter. I agree with some of the stuff he said. People are overreacting a little bit. They call it the John Blake era. John Blake was a lot worse record-wise and win total-wise, although there are some similarities here in the fact that Brent Venables has had 2 losing seasons. Not technically. He has had 2 losing seasons in the last 3 years. So that's why people draw that comparison, and the fact that even though Bob Stoops did go out and get some people out of the transfer area and got some people from JUCO, he did win a national championship with a lot of John Blake's recruits. So the cupboard wasn't completely bare when Bob Stoops got there, just like with Brent Venables. Brent Venables came in and his cupboard wasn't completely bare. But I would venture to say that actually Brent Venables had a lot tougher than John Blake because you had a lot of skill positions that were rated by the former coach. And John Blake and Bob Stoops, neither one had to deal with that kind of stuff back in the day. You didn't have this open Wild West door where people could just transfer out because a coach leaves and all that bullshit. So Yeah, there's an argument to be made on both sides, but in the end, what I really want to reiterate here that he did say that I do agree with is you can actually use this as motivation going forward. At this point, you're not really expected to do anything. So Michigan's ranked 14th, and they're coming to Norman. So right away, Oklahoma will get a chance to knock off a top 15 team. And if Oklahoma does that, and I think they will, Oklahoma will be in the poll post haste, unless they get upset by Temple or some bullshit like that. And then, of course, you play Auburn, and y'all should beat Auburn. I hope you do, because losing to Jackson Hole wouldn't be a good look for Oklahoma. But in the end, Alabama, the other team that I talk about a lot, I think they're probably going to finish higher than 8th. I'm not saying that because they're my team. I'm just saying that because we have like the most production and the most returning starters coming back, more so than most teams in the nation. I think we're like top 3 or 4 as far as returning talent. So I think Alabama will probably be higher than that eventually. We'll probably make the playoffs, and I think Alabama will probably at least make the Final Four of the playoffs. And I also think that Oklahoma will be on the cusp of the playoffs themselves, if not in the playoffs as well. That's all I got to say about that. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. That's the big 4. They're all absolutely free. And if you want to do a little something extra, if you want to get that badge and get deputized and get a random 4 horseman shout out like those guys did earlier in the show, as well as possibly the comment of the day, when we start getting more comments in, I'll start the comment of the day back up during football season. All you got to do is hit that join button over there by the subscribe button. It's $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. That's just a half a bottle of water for the outlaw. And there's also a little heart down here with a money dollar sign in the middle. If you want to make a one-time donation to the program, smash that heart and throw a few dollars in the coffers. KMCAE to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.